Welcome to Namoli Family Stadium. You're watching the University of Tampa softball for Game 1 of this doubleheader between the Tampa Spartans and Florida Southern Mocs. I'm Taylor Storthy alongside Bruce Wozniak. And Bruce, a beautiful afternoon for some softball.
It is 81 degrees and obviously nothing that is unfamiliar for the opponent, with Florida Southern being located just over in Lakeland. And the action should be just as hot on the field. Two rivals that have faced each other plenty of times, and getting set for 2 games today and then one tomorrow at 12 noon. And Mariah Galehouse in the circle for UT for Game 1 of this doubleheader. And Taylor, she obviously is a workhorse on this Spartan staff.
I really think that a workhorse, an ace, the team's top hitter, there's so many ways you can describe Galehouse and her contributions to the Spartan side. She really hasn't done anything wrong all season, hitting .462 entering the game today, and from the circle, an impressive 176 ERA in 43 innings. The 43 innings leads the Spartans unit as a whole.
And the Spartans come in on a 3-game winning streak after having lost 8-7 to number 11 Valdosta State 1 week ago yesterday, and bounced back to take the second game of that doubleheader 11-8, and have posted 2 more victories since then, so looking to make it 4 in a row in this first game of the double here against Florida Southern, as Galehouse is ready in the circle, and of course, as always, Lexi Chevalier behind the plate for the Spartans.
We also see Russo playing at third base today. She'll be the third base player for the Spartans. Interesting, since she normally runs at second in the field. So, wonder how this change will work out for the Spartans.
Kelsey Peck is the leadoff hitter for Florida Southern, a senior.
That one's taken for strike 2. And the senior hitting .300 to start the season, one of the stronger hitters for Florida Southern. And obviously being a leadoff hitter, expect to have a little bit of running speed, so Tampa will have to be ready for a ground ball. Good frame attempt by Chevalier, but that's outside.
And an equally good job there by Kelsey Peck to lay off that one and stay alive here in this first at-bat to start this game.
Now the 1-2. Ooh, just a little low. But I also think it was a little bit inside. Very close, though. It was the depth, I think, that ultimately led it to being a ball, though.
And obviously some gamesmanship here. Galehouse getting ahead, and now Peck feeling good.
That one's ripped foul and had some good contact behind it. Could have been extra bases if it drops, but...
Yeah, you have to think that Kelsey Peck, that her confidence is building, coming back from being behind 0-2 to start off, and evens the count, and then that ball there gets her bat on one of them. So let's see how she fares here against Galehouse.
And that one's fouled away. Very close for Peck. And that's going to be important for Galehouse, too, because even though it was fouled away, she's now back really in control, getting a somewhat more favorable outcome that time.
I'm watching Kelsey Peck as she walked out of the batter's box there. Fouled that one into her thigh.
Weininger gets the grounder, 1 away. That was a longer battle after going down 0-2. And while Peck does put it in play, it's an easy play at second for the new arrival. Of course, Weininger, her first season as a Spartan, being a transfer over the off-season. And she's made a mark to start her Spartan career.
Head coach Mo Triner in the lineup goes from a senior to now a freshman in the number 2 spot, as it's Kenley Smith in to hit against Galehouse now.
Smith hitting .268 on the season. Funny enough, she's actually right behind Peck in order of leaders for batting average for Florida Southern. That one outside, ball 1. If Galehouse gets ahead in the count, though, I have a feeling that she's going to be looking for a strikeout, as Kenley Smith leads Florida Southern in strikeouts this season with 13. But it won't be a strikeout. It's grounded to Russo, who makes a good play to get the second out.
Tell you what, though, good speed by Kenley Smith coming out of the batter's box, and Russo really had to earn her keep on that one, getting the ball over in time.
I'll say, because even though it's a very short grounder, that's certainly not a routine play, because Smith had the speed. I think she was looking for a bunt to start the at-bat, and made it a very close throw, and it was a difficult grab for Russo. 2 away, and the first pitch is going to be strike 1, and Ralston is going to go down 0-1. Went around, strike 2.
Skylar Ralston, the batter here, trying to keep things alive for the Mocs in the top of the first.
We don't want to go down 0-2 to Galehouse, though. And this time the curveball lands down the middle for strike 3. It's a 1-2-3 inning with that strikeout. And the Spartans' defense looking strong. We'll see if the bats can respond. Fantone, Keister, Russo due up in the top of the first. We're entering the bottom of the first right after this.
Champions know how to seize opportunities. When they see moments of greatness unfold right before their eyes, they push as hard as they possibly can. And then they push harder. Because the heart of a champion never settles, never quits, and never stops giving its all. We are champions. We are Division II. We go big, we give it everything we've got, and we win. On the field, on our campuses, in our communities, for our causes, in our careers. We rise to become champions in everything we do. We are Division II, and there are no limits here. We make our time count. We set our own path. We become champions on our terms. It's time to up your game, because we're here to play and learn. But most importantly, we're here to discover ourselves, our vision, our heart, our drive, to achieve every goal we aim for, because we want to be champions at the highest level, life. At Division II.
Bottom of the first. Welcome back. You're watching Tampa Spartans TV. Florida Southern and Tampa begin their doubleheader today. And by the way, if you're surprised it's a doubleheader, it was a recent change due to inclement weather potentially on Saturday. But anyway, we're going to get underway as this one's taken outside for ball 1.
The Florida Southern pitcher is Ashley Blesson, who comes in with a 3.44 ERA, 6-4 one-loss record. And here's her next offering to Fantone.
That one's grounded to second, but can't make the play. Smith was trying to pick it up on the run, but unfortunately just rolls out of her glove, and it's going to be a leadoff single for Fantone. Actually, it will be graded an error, so not a single. She'll get aboard with the error. And here comes Lily Keister. And I think it's a somewhat safe guess to expect a sacrifice bunt. It's what Tampa likes to do in this position. And Keister also has a bit of speed to try to get on base from these bunts, too. That one's going to be popped up. And it backfired. As it was going foul, Colgate, who forms the battery alongside Blesson, makes a good catch.
Yeah, good heads-up play there by Colgate. And as you said, not the way the Spartans drew it up, but over the course of a long season, that's bound to happen once or twice. And they'll look to Alexa Russo now.
I'll say for the Spartans, the sacrifice does work more often than it doesn't. But unfortunately, these types of things happen. Strike 1 taken. It was a close call, but Ralph Rodriguez, who's the home plate umpire, called it in the zone. James Wadsworth is in the field, currently playing in the middle of first and second. Now from the circle, the 0-1. Russo fouls this one back.
Russo hitting .367 through 17 games played this season, and we didn't spend enough time on it, barely spent any time on it, but wow, worth mentioning, just a fantastic start to this 2023 season for UT. 18-1, and a tall order today for Florida Southern, who comes in with a record of 14-11.
And Florida Southern, it's a bit of a rivalry game between the Mocs and Spartans. These schools have very competitive battles in other sports, so that gives them more motivation. But certainly a David versus Goliath affair where Tampa has to work as the Goliath, one of the best teams in the nation. The only loss the Spartans have suffered this season came in that one-run loss you mentioned at Valdosta State, as the Spartans were looking for revenge for the team that knocked us out at our home during the playoffs last season. And we did get revenge to tie the series 1-1. But, yeah, just absolute dominance so far from the Spartans. An incredible start to the season. Russo hits this one to left, but it's going to land foul. She'll stay alive in a 2-2 count. And quickly, Bruce, going back to Russo, really happy to see how well she's been hitting this season. Last season, she was hitting around 240, 260, but more so for power rather than for getting on base. But that's changed. She has been getting on base more often while retaining that power that allowed her to hit the only home runs here at home all season.
That one's outside for a ball. I think Alexa Russo has kind of stepped up in terms of more responsibility this season, in terms of offense, looking for a lot more from her. And she, as you mentioned, has responded nicely to that added pressure that's been put upon her with the departure of players like Corinne Miner, among others.
Russo fouls it away. Had a chance potentially down the third base line, but the third base player, Thomas, was in a good position. Full count for Blesson and Russo. Weininger on deck. Galehouse getting some practice swings in as she'll move to on deck next. A dangerous part of the Spartan hitting lineup coming up. Will it be two away? No. Just lands foul off the railing that actually separates fans from the field. Speaking of fans, pretty solid showing. Fans here for the doubleheader. Imagine because you mentioned Florida Southern very local, we'll also see a lot of Mocs fans showing up later. But one more time, the full count. Fantone on first. Russo keeping alive. And Bruce, you had mentioned that Galehouse was really a workhorse for the Spartans. The same could definitely be said for Blesson. 12 games started, 70 innings pitched. She leads the Mocs in innings pitched and has really been their go-to starter throughout the season, while Russo will work a walk on ball 4 inside.
Interesting to see that one play out the way it did, because as you mentioned, on what we thought was going to be a sacrifice, didn't work out the way the Spartans would have liked, and now instead they've got runners on first and second, so it seems to kind of come out in the wash, and an opportunity now for UT early as Cameron Weininger in to hit with one runner in scoring position in the bottom of the first.
The first pitch for Weininger taken outside, ball 1. Dangerous spot with runners in scoring position, especially with a team that can hit it as well as the Spartans. 2-0 now. By the way, the Spartans, they're hitting .385 this season as a team average. .385. That is just a wild stat to me. And alongside that, they have a pretty good .580 slugging and .445 on base percentage. 2-0. Can Weininger go up 3-0 in the count? Nope, it will be strike one on a very close one.
Taylor, all my years working in sports, I've encountered so many people that have no use for stats. I happen to be a big fan of stats, but at the same time, you can kind of see the argument where right here you throw all the stats out the window and you say the bottom line is, can she convert this runner? And all the stats in the world that'll tell you about tendencies, she's not thinking about stats and what she's done in the past. She's thinking about the present moment and trying to advance that runner at second.
And I agree, they say numbers never lie, but the biggest number, even more so than average on base, BABIP, or anything else, it's what's on the scoreboard, who is winning, and who's going to be winning at the end of the 7th inning.
Well,
and
there's
for now,
a huge opportunity there with the key number being 4 in terms of 4 balls. And just like that, UT has the bases loaded as you see the conference taking place here in the circle. Florida Southern.
And I think that's a really good move to just get a conference there, talk with Blessin. They're not going to pull her at this stage of the game, of course, but they just want to get her focused. She has one out. All the bases are going to be force outs. She needs to induce some weak contact to get a double play. But now the problem is, with those 2 straight walks, you've now walked into a bases-loaded situation for Mariah Gilhouse. And forgetting about the numbers, she's the best player on the Spartans roster, honestly, in almost any category. One of the better fielders, one of the best pitchers, and one of the best hitters.
Yeah, this is always a nice opportunity for student athletes to kind of realize the opportunity that they have instead of looking at it as woe is me, because here's a chance to rally around potentially getting yourself out of a bases-loaded jam and hope to escape this first inning 0-0. So let's see how that conference does in terms of, as you mentioned, potentially settling down Ashley Blessin as Galehouse ready in the batter's box now.
Infield playing in. Now with the bases loaded, first pitch to Galehouse. Outside for ball 1.
And the look down to third was very, very, very short. Galehouse knows what she has to do here. There's nothing that head coach Leslie Cantor is going to tell her that she doesn't already know in this situation. Let's see what she does with it.
Now the 1-0. This one's strike 1.
Yeah, interesting, Taylor, as you pointed out. The infield is playing in here, and if Galehouse can drop one behind the defense, there is an opening there if she can exploit it. At least get one run across.
Yeah, massive stretch of no man's land out there. And any of the players in the infield will have a tough time getting any bloop single that drops. Because normally you will still have a little stretch where those bloops can be very active, but when the infield's in, it's almost larger than the infield itself.
Yeah, I'm actually watching Kelsey Peck specifically, as well as Kenley Smith, second and short. And when they start to move in, as they just did there is, as you mentioned, a good deal of room for Galehouse to drop one in if she can place it.
2-2 now to Galehouse, and what I'll mention is, from what it looks like, Rodriguez has a strike zone slightly favoring strikes to the left side. I wonder if Galehouse is going to pick up on that when she's back in the circle and try to challenge those right-handed batters inside. And this time the inside pitch gets a crucial strike 3, and Blessin quickly recovering now with 2 away and the bases loaded.
Yeah, that's a big shot in the arm for Ashley Blessin, but at the same time, it could all unravel if she's not careful here against Avery Perkins. So let's see if she can rise to the test one more time here and get the third out of this bottom of the first.
A fun little stat fact is that Perkins and Galehouse have the same average entering the game this season. And, well, one of them was going to get a hit as they're both nearly hitting 500. And Tampa takes a 1-0 lead on the Avery Perkins single.
Really well-struck ball and really did what I think Mariah Galehouse was looking to do, was unsuccessful. And regardless, the Spartans will take it any way they can get it, regardless of who the batter is. And so now they have a 1-0 lead, and the base is still loaded as Lexi Chevalier comes up to hit.
And we were talking about adversity earlier, and it's a good thing to try to have players experience it. I know for Tampa Volleyball, Coach Kadnack doesn't usually take timeouts when the team is in a bad run because he wants the team to work their way out of it, and it helps them grow as a unit, helps them get closer and have strong chemistry. And I wonder if that's a similar trend that happens across all college sports, and I know a lot of great coaches probably agree with that principle.
Lexi Chevalier, by the way, hitting .294 this season. And the 1-0 coming to her.
Blessin hits that foul. It certainly had the distance to go far, but just a bit early on the swing. Chevalier has 2 home runs this season, only trailing Weininger and Galehouse in that category. She's also tied with Fantone and Russo. The 1-1. It's going to be 2-1.
That ball was pretty well outside, and Ashley Blesson needs to settle in here while she still has an opportunity to escape with just a 1-run deficit.
Especially with 2 outs, you got to challenge a hitter. With the bases loaded, you don't have a free base. You can't walk them. Now the 2-1. Got her that time with the off speed. Completely fooled her. Now the count's 2-2.
Yeah, I love that pitch selection. All of a sudden, she's got Chevalier back on her heels.
Well, Tampa scored. They do not want to leave the bases loaded. Here's the 2-2. Just misses high.
And the plot thickens here as Kate DeSimone waits on deck, hoping to get an opportunity here while it's still the bottom of the first.
And a big payoff pitch here from the circle. Blesson. This one's going to be lined to the outfield. 1 run will score, and they're going to send another. No play at the plate. Weininger and Russo come home on a 2 RBI single from Lexi Chevalier, and the Spartans now lead 3-0.
Yeah, that was almost identical to Tampa getting the first run of the game. The only difference here was they got 2 more to cross the plate instead of 1, and so DeSimone does get an opportunity to bat in the bottom of the first with her team now up 3-0, and runners still on the corners.
And yeah, the first hit from Perkins, it was a sharp grounder that went through second and first. This one was a hard hit line drive that went through second and first. So very similar. Ralston was able to get in front of both of them quite easily, so prevented further damage on the plays, though. Ball 1 inside. Colgate was ready in case Chevalier wanted to move.
Really good patience here early by the UT hitters. Looking at these pitches, tendency would be to get excited and see the score starting to climb up to 3-0, and you want to add something to it also, and Kate DeSimone hung in there on that first pitch.
She'll go on the second pitch, and Peck's trying to track it. She will make the catch, braving the sun. The damage is kept to 3, but that's still a great bottom of the first for the Spartans. The Mocs will have to fight back in the top of the second right after this.
Champions know how to seize opportunities. When they see moments of greatness unfold right before their eyes, they push as hard as they possibly can, and then they push harder. Because the heart of a champion never settles, never quits, and never stops giving its all. We are champions. We are Division II. We go big, we give it everything we've got, and we win. On the field, on our campuses, in our communities, for our causes, in our careers. We rise to become champions in everything we do. We are Division II, and there are no limits here. We make our time count. We set our own path. We become champions on our terms. It's time to up your game, because we're here to play and learn. But most importantly, we're here to discover ourselves. Our vision, our heart, our drive to achieve every goal we aim for, because we want to be champions at the highest level, life. At Division II, the opportunities are here. Are you ready?
We're going to see the 4, 5, and 6 hitters for Florida Southern here in the top of the second, and that'll consist of Taylor Thomas hitting in the cleanup spot, and she'll be followed by Destiny Colgate, the catcher, and Maddie Connor hitting in the number 6 spot. And a 3-0 hole already for the Mocs after just 1 inning.
Means their offense is going to have to respond and try to give the defense some support, as there's a swing and miss for Thomas. By the way, a little reminder for the Spartan field. We already mentioned that Russo is at third, Balmer at short, Weininger at second, DeSimone at first, Fantone, Keister, Allen out in the outfield. We generally see Galehouse and right, but, well, Galehouse can't be in right. She's in the circle, forming the battery with Chevalier. 1-1. The second pitch just missing outside in this at-bat.
Mariah Galehouse, by the way, needed just 13 pitches to get through the first inning.
Now is keeping track of Blessing's inning. That was her pitch count after the long walk against Alexa Russo. So you definitely see Galehouse getting things done pretty quickly here. Grounded to Balmer. Good grab and good throw. It almost got her off balance, the initial fielding play, but stays upright, and the throw is on target to DeSimone.
Yeah, that was a well-hit ball by Taylor Thomas, and you're right. You saw Balmer stumble just a little bit, wondered if that was going to be the difference, but able to recover in time. And it brings up the number 5 hitter, which is Destiny Colgate.
Colgate takes this one high for ball 1. Colgate doesn't have enough qualified at-bats yet this season, but in the at-bats she's had, she's hitting .362. That number might go down as Balmer has to make a quick play. Wow. Balmer initially dropped it, but gets it in time and fires a laser to DeSimone, who almost goes into a split to get it out of the dirt.
Yeah, DeSimone with the catch at the shoe tops, and very close call there. But the Spartans already just 1 out away from ending this second inning for Florida Southern.
Strike one taken by Connor. I have to say, DeSimone doing a great job at first base. She's kind of shifted there from a more utility role, and even occasionally pitching from the circle, to having some outings from the bullpen and the occasional start, to playing as the team's starting first base player.
And the hitter is Maddie Connor, a grad student from down in Fort Lauderdale.
And now the 0-2 to Connor. Just misses outside. Good take, because it's always tough. You see a fastball coming, you're thinking, oh, it's a 2-strike count, I have to protect. It is definitely tough to hold up on those pitches. Now the 1-2. This time the frame works, and the inning is over. Pretty much a repeat of the first inning. 2 balls in play, 2 outs, and a strikeout to retire the side. The Spartans hold a 3-run lead, and their hot offense is coming back out. And of course, hot in terms of hitting. They're hitting .333 on the game, and really converting with runners in scoring position. We'll be back right after this. And we're back, and that was actually a quicker inning break than I thought we would have, Bruce. We normally have a couple warm-up pitches, but Blessing's just ready to go. And we'll get started with the bottom of the second. The Spartans' bats all season have just been really, really good. And even though, of course, any given day, of course the term comes from football, any given Sunday, any given game, you can see something different. But it's always a safe bet to expect the Spartans' bats can get something done. The first pitch taken on the outside corner for strike 1.
Big opportunity here for UT. What with this being the first of 3 games and the first game of a doubleheader, 3 games in less than 24 hours, and already leading 3-0. They'd really love to start getting into the heads of the Mocs.
This one was very far inside, but Balmer was protecting and fouls it off. 0-2. And I agree, Bruce. Having a good first inning can set you up really well over the course of the rest of the game, and the Spartans can try to carry that energy into the doubleheader and second game that is going to follow this.
We're seeing the 9, 1, and 2 hitters for UT in this inning.
Balmer keeps alive.
That means that besides Steph Ballmer, we'll also see Lauren Fantone and Lily Keister.
Spartans, of course, have 3 left-handed hitters in the lineup. Florida Southern is a completely right-handed team. So interesting to see that Tampa has a little more variety for handedness. This one's put on the ground, and Ballmer will run that out very easily. That's the perfect little slap hit because it doesn't travel away from anyone, and it's incredibly hard to field.
I was actually a little surprised that she reached out for that one. Thought she would have let it go for what obviously would have been a ball. But to her credit, look at what it turns into. And that brings up the leadoff hitter, Lauren Fantone, who is 0 for 1 in this game. She reached on an error in the first.
I wonder if Fantone's going to try a sacrifice bunt. She's going to take this first pitch low for ball 1. And certainly Ballmer and Fantone, players with a lot of range at their positions, and they've got the speed to make some nice running plays on the base paths. So definitely don't be surprised if there's a grounder and they can try to beat another throw. Here's the bunt. It's going to go foul, 1-1.
You know, the word that comes to my mind with Lauren Fantone is reliable. She's in that leadoff position for a reason and usually rewards her head coach, Leslie Cantor, more often than not.
Let's see if another award can be delivered on this pitch. Lesson from the circle, the 1-1. And 2-1. One thing I've also noticed so far, Tampa actually hasn't tried to steal a base yet. They've had players like Fantone with good speed on the base paths, but maybe they know something about Colgate's arm that maybe might be just potentially worried about getting caught on the base path.
Well, or it could be a strategy of one word that you said in there, which was yet. Perhaps Leslie Cantor's keeping it up her sleeve for a little bit later.
Got a whole second game after this. Maybe wait for a full game and a little fatigue to get to the defense before you start running. 2-2 now. The bunt opportunity's probably dead now, but Fantone can drop one down. Could be a risk worth taking. Holds up. Full count. I'll say that Colgate is also popping quickly to try to make potential plays. They know the Spartans have been somewhat active on the base paths. They've had 21 steals in 19 games. They've only been caught 3 times. We'll go again off the foul ball.
Fantone staying alive here. Steph Ballmer is the runner over at first base, and she'd love to move her up at least to second.
I think with a full count, I wonder if we're going to see Ballmer taking larger leads potentially. And ball 4. That's the 3rd walk drawn against Blesson, and that is the 2nd walk drawn with a full count.
Lily Keister is 0 for 1 in this game, and goes without saying she'd love to pick up a hit here and go 1 for 2 to start things off. We're only in the bottom of the 2nd.
You don't always see the lineup quickly cycle back around this quickly, but Tampa's offense has been able to do so. And yeah, back in the 1st inning, Keister was trying to lay a sacrifice bunt. It went in foul territory, and Colgate made a quick catch and a quick reaction. But I don't think that's going to discourage Keister from trying again. Here's the 1-0. Here's the bunt. That's nicely laid down. Keister a step behind, and that'll be out number 1. But the job is done. Runners at 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah, I think Lily Keister is going back to the dugout satisfied with what she did there, as UT already with a 3-0 lead has runners at 2nd and 3rd with only 1 out, and the number 3 hitter Alexa Russo stepping into the batter's box. Big opportunity here for the home team.
Russo liked the first pitch but gets under it. 0-1, foul away. Blessing's at 44 pitches so far in the game. Actually, hold on. Actually, it might be more. Yeah, 45. So 46 on the previous one. And here's 47. So Tampa's already getting her pitch count high. That's been a reason we've actually seen Florida Southern's bullpen somewhat active. 1-1.
Russo watching head coach Leslie Cantor go through all the signs down at third, and ready now for the 1-1 offering from Blessin.
Russo pops this one up. Playable by Taylor. 2 away.
And again, just like we saw in the first inning, Blessin can exhale somewhat at the same time. Just as big a situation here, knowing that there are 2 runners in scoring position behind her. So even though there's 2 outs for the Spartans, the next one is always the most important out.
Weininger takes that inside for strike 1. And that one, I feel that personally it looked a little inside. Obviously, we're skewed a little to the right up here, but it might just be sort of the established zone where right-handed batters might have to be careful for those inside pitches more often.
And Weininger did walk in her first inning plate appearance, so she could be holding on to what she saw from Ashley Blessin then in the hopes of maybe the similar result. Count 1-1 now.
The 1-1 just outside. Colgate wanted to frame it for strike 2. You have a free base, but you'd once again be putting Gelhaus with a bases loaded spot. Although she did strike out last time in the same position. This one's popped up. Is it playable? Nope, it's going to land over the fence. And one of the camera man over by the Tampa dugout was almost a part of the play.
I think it goes without saying that Cameron Weininger was happy to see that one drift as far as it did, keeping this at-bat alive just a little bit longer.
2-2. And this one popped up. And Colgate, can't make the catch. Great effort on the dive. And in fact, after it bounced off her glove and off the wall, it then bounced off her head. And unfortunately, you take off the mask to try to let yourself see the ball better. So that one will sting a little more than if it was still on. She looks good, though, but just being checked out there quickly by her teammate.
Yeah, Destiny Colgate, you obviously love to see that kind of hustle from your players. And head coach Mo Triner, I'm sure, will give a nice fist bump when this inning concludes for that effort, regardless of the fact that she didn't make the catch.
2-2 again. This one's sent to left field. But it won't drop in time as Bryson makes the easy grab for the final out. Tampa can't bring a run home. They strand 2, but they still hold a good lead entering the top of the third. Due up for Florida Southern, 7-8-9. We'll be back right after this.
I pledge.
I am an NCAA student athlete.
And I pledge to be a champion of unity
on my team, on my campus, and in my community.
I pledge to embrace differences and strive for inclusion and collaboration.
I pledge to stand against racism, hate, and discrimination.
I pledge to strive for love, care, and forgiveness.
I pledge to stand against silence, deceit, and obscurity.
I pledge to strive for dialogue, truth, and understanding.
I pledge to stand against fear and doubt.
I pledge to strive for trust and belief in one another.
I pledge to stand against complacency and stagnancy.
I pledge to strive for change and growth.
I commit to supporting my fellow student athletes in all circumstances that impact them.
I commit to both choosing unity personally and encouraging it for all.
I pledge these things because we are stronger together.
United as one.
It's not about any one thing. It's about how everything comes together, how it all connects.
Leading off for Florida Southern, Kelly Keating, the designated player. And for the season, hitting 143 in her 35 at-bats. However, she was able to bring home 2 RBIs this season. Doing so.
Yeah, let's see how inspired the Mocs are by keeping the Spartans off the scoreboard in the bottom of the second. And take this at-bat as an opportunity to start chipping away at this 3-run deficit.
Swing and a miss, 0-2. And I will say the motivation might also be there because they actually had a team huddle after the inning. Just kind of as they were getting set and Tampa was warming up, they were just talking it over, and I think Florida Southern's coach just with a little pep talk, try to motivate the players, see what they can do. Well, that's not what she would have liked to see to start the inning. It's a 3-pitch strikeout, and Gilhouse has her 3rd of the game.
Yeah, I think best laid plans all of a sudden fall apart when you face a pitcher like Mariah Gilhouse. She's got a tremendous body of work behind her, and the Mocs are abundantly aware of that. Just trying to figure out a way to solve her here, trailing 3-0 in the top of the 3rd.
For Gilhouse, it's 33 strikeouts to 5 walks this season. You generally want a 2 to 3, even 4 strikeout walk ratio, and when you have a pitcher nearly putting up a 7 in that category, that's really good.
This is Jessica Bryson, the left fielder, senior from the greater Tampa Bay area, Newport Richey specifically.
Good start to the season for Bryson, hitting .309. Sees the 0-2, just drops low for ball 1. Gilhouse still working quickly. This will be her 30th pitch of the game. Unlike Keating, Bryson's been consistently getting contact in this at-bat. I believe all the strikes she's seen have come from those foul balls. And while they are late swings on the fastball, they're not swings and misses, which is good, because if they were, it would be strikeout number 2 in the inning.
There's another one that she hits foul. So Jessica Bryson, successful putting the bat on the ball, just needs to keep it in play.
And I'll say for a pitcher, when you're in the circle, you get really annoyed when someone just keeps fouling pitches off in the at-bat. Foul again, although there was a good effort from Fantone to get it out in left field. Aside from being a great leadoff hitter for the Spartans, Fantone has great range on defense, always making great effort to get foul balls, especially if they're by the warning track on the left side of the field. She's made some good plays there before.
Yeah, as good as Bryson has done keeping this at-bat alive, her luck almost ran out if Fantone could have gotten to that one.
The luck runs out here as this one's straight to Gilhouse for out number 2.
Tip of the cap, though, to Jessica Bryson for working that at-bat. And so now we'll get to the bottom of the order as we'll see the center fielder, Kiki Morris, coming in to face Gilhouse here.
And I think Florida Southern's coach will certainly give some applause to Bryson for being able to force the long at-bat. And this one, nearly a successful bunt on the first pitch, but a good job by Weininger to cover first. And that'll end the inning. 1, 2, 3 again, and a 3rd strikeout for Gilhouse. We'll enter the bottom of the 3rd. Spartans looking to expand their 3-run lead. Blesson back in the circle, ready to get underway in the bottom of the third. Galehouse, Perkins, Chevalier, due up. Galehouse struck out last time with the bases loaded, very uncharacteristic of the player who's definitely a contender for team MVP to start the season, and Peck makes a quick grab for the first out.
Good heads-up play there by Kelsey Peck. Mariah Galehouse kind of having the opposite afternoon so far offensively that she is from the pitching circle, which I think ultimately she would take that trade-off, knowing that she's kept the opposing team off the scoreboard so far and seeing her teammates putting her out to a 3-0 lead here in the bottom of the third.
And I agree. I think if Galehouse would be very satisfied if her teammates can give her run support. So even if she has a bad day at the plate, as long as she's still really good from the circle, she won't be disappointed.
Avery Perkins, who had an RBI single in the first, hitting here in the bottom of the third.
Taken for ball one. Yeah, Perkins was able to convert immediately with a sharp hit grounder that does split Smith and Connor. And strike one taken up high, but just getting that corner. Perkins and Chevalier both recorded hits in their first at-bats and brought runs home. They can keep up the good hitting form. It might set up something dangerous for the Spartans. You know, as a left-handed hitter, you get to do the run swing up more because you've got more space to do so, getting right onto the base path. That can mean those quick grounders in front are very dangerous. And this one's going to be up the middle. It's a base hit.
Interestingly, I was going to say that to this point it felt like the Spartans have done a lot more offensively than quote-unquote only 3 hits, and I was going to mention that Avery Perkins was one of the 3 players to have a hit. Now all of a sudden here she is with 2 of her team's 4 hits, as we'll see Lexi Chevalier come to the plate.
Chevalier wouldn't mind making it 2 of 5 hits, potentially, in this at-bat. Blesson will continue. This is pitch number 60 of the night. And it's going to get by short on the dive from Peck, and it's not fielded cleanly enough. Runners will hold up at second and third, but I think that'll probably be graded as an error on Bryson. And I think if they were a little more aggressive, the Spartans could have even sent Perkins home on that play.
Yeah, I was kind of looking for that myself. I'll tell you what, for Lexi Chevalier, though, she had the 2 RBI single in the first, and now all of a sudden a big play for her here in the bottom of the third, and setting up nicely for Kate DeSimone, the number 8 hitter, as there's only 1 out here in the bottom of the third.
DeSimone popped up last time. Would like to have a fly out instead because it would be a sacrifice fly, and I think she went around, so it's likely going to be strike 1. That's unlucky because that would have given her the free base if she was able to hold up.
Yeah, I initially thought that was going to be a hit by pitch. Obviously not the case.
I think it was a somewhat close call, but unfortunately I think she did just commit a little too much on the swing. Now the 0-1. This one's going to be sent to left. Perkins is going to tag up. And the throw is not in time. Chevalier advances to third. So DeSimone will be maybe a little disappointed to get an out, but does get the RBI. So it's a 4-0 Spartan lead with 2 away. That'll bring up Steph Ballmer, who has 1 of the Spartan 5 hits.
Good base running there by Avery Perkins to score the 4th run of the game. I think everybody in the stadium kind of held their breath the moment that fly ball was caught by Jessica Bryson, and Perkins had what the Spartans needed to pad their lead here.
Taken outside for ball 1. You're mentioning the Spartans offense being active. That's mainly because I think we've really seen a lot of bases loaded and runners in very good scoring positions because they've been able to get on base with errors. They've drawn walks. In fact, there have been 3 errors from Florida Southern as the count goes to 1-1. And just capitalizing on those mistakes rather than just plainly getting hits has allowed the Spartans offense to be pretty deadly with not too many balls that just land for nice singles and the occasional double. In fact, the Spartans actually haven't had a double yet today. Now the 1-1. This one's going to be sent deep to left field, but it's in play in foul territory. Bryson makes the catch, and the inning's over. The Spartans do find 1 run on the sacrifice from DeSimone, but they will strand a runner at third. They still lead by 4 as we enter the top of the 4th, right after this.
Champions know how to seize opportunities. When they see moments of greatness unfold right before their eyes, they push as hard as they possibly can, and then they push harder. Because the heart of a champion never settles, never quits, and never stops giving its all. We are champions. We are Division II. We go big, we give it everything we've got, and we win. On the field, on our campuses, in our communities, for our causes, in our careers. We rise to become champions in everything we do. We are Division II, and there are no limits here. We make our time count. We set our own path. We become champions on our terms. It's time to up your game, because we're here to play and learn. But most importantly, we're here to discover ourselves, our vision, our heart, our drive, to achieve every goal we aim for, because we want to be champions at the highest level, life. At Division II, the opportunities are here. Are you ready?
Florida Southern shortstop Kelsey Peck to lead things off here in the top of the 4th. Her team trails 4-0, and she is 0 for 1 in this game.
I'll say, though, sorry to interrupt, Bruce, but she is the most dangerous hitter of the Florida State lineup in terms of pure power. She has 6 home runs, leading the team this season. Well, that was a deep fly ball. It was an easy catch for out number 1.
Yeah, very well hit ball by Kelsey Peck. And unfortunately for Kenley Smith, she now steps into the batter's box with her teammate representing out number 1 of this top of the 4th inning. Keep in mind, folks, that this is game 1 of a doubleheader. When this game concludes, there will be an approximate 20-minute break in between games. And the 3rd game in the series will take place tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern Time.
Normally we have the doubleheaders on Saturday, but I believe it was weather that forced this change to Friday. And honestly, though, it's a beautiful Friday, so I don't mind having a doubleheader tonight. Fouled away, it's 1-1, as it's going to be Kenley Smith with her second at-bat. Being a doubleheader is good for Florida Southern, though. If they do struggle in Game 1, they'll have an immediate shot at revenge instead of having the night to mull over the loss. They'll have a chance to get right back into the series. Two and 1 here.
Florida Southern looking to get back in the win column after they had a 3-game winning streak end 2 days ago. They split a doubleheader at home against Hillsdale College. They won the first one 7-3, and then they lost 4-2. And as I mentioned before, on the season overall, 14-11 1-loss record. And UT, wow, it bears repeating. Just a tremendous 2023 so far. 18-1 1-loss record for the Spartans. Kenley Smith staying alive. And the 2-2 coming from Mariah Galehouse.
The 2-2 is going to be fouled away. And I will say as well, good job by Smith to again get into a long battle. While I don't think even trying to take Galehouse's pitch count high will do enough to try to force a change for the Spartans. The goal certainly would be to try to maybe make it so it would be harder to start her in a potential game tomorrow, as she would definitely be the go-to at the noon game. 2-2. Staying alive.
Kenley Smith, the second base player for the Mocs. And hoping to make something happen here offensively. The Spartans got 3 runs in the bottom of the first and tacked on another one in the bottom of the third for our current 4-0 score.
That one's grounded to DeSimone. Out number 2.
Kenley Smith goes and sits down. And that'll bring up Skylar Ralston.
See if the junior can be the missing piece for the Mocs to try to get this offense going. The 2 best hitters, of course, are going to be up here. Thomas might have to wait until next inning if Ralston can't get aboard. This one grounded to DeSimone, and it will be a wait until next inning. Another clean inning from Galehouse, and we will enter the bottom of the 4th with a 4-run Spartan lead. Now the question is, can they score again and keep it growing? We'll be back right after this. And we're back. Bottom of the 4th underway. And it's the top of the order for the Spartans. Fantone, Keister, and Russo due up. While the trio is hitless, they've all reached base once today at least.
Yeah, and certainly if you're Florida Southern, you don't like that it's only the bottom of the 4th, and the leadoff hitter for UT is already making her 3rd plate appearance. Fantone reached on an error in the first and then walked in the second. And working here against Ashley Blesson, whose pitch count is at 65 entering this inning.
This one's going to be grounded to second. The play is just in time to beat Fantone. And I'll say that Blesson started to find ability to get quicker at bats and not have the pitch count go drastically high. Despite conceding a run in the 3rd inning, it was quicker than her 2nd and 1st innings. But unfortunately, for the Spartans, it's another quick start in the bottom of the 4th with that ground out. That'll bring up Lily Keister with one away. This one popped up. It won't get down in time as Smith makes another catch. 2 away.
Ashley Blesson off to a good start here in the bottom of the 4th inning, retiring the first 2 batters and doing so quickly. And so we'll see Alexa Russo now hitting in the number 3 spot. Russo, a Spartans' 3rd base player. She walked in the first and then was out in the second. Pop fly to 3rd base.
It was her first battle with Blessing that lasted 10 pitches before eventually ending in a full count walk. Did a great job of just really staying alive in the at-bat and winning in the end. That's a hard hit ball It's not fielded cleanly enough by Peck, but Peck does keep in front of it to prevent a potential extra base hit.
And I'll tell you what, I don't think that's on Kelsey Peck at all. I think Alexa Russo just absolutely crushed that one. And as my dad taught me when I was a little boy learning how to keep score, those ones are called too hot to handle. And I think Kelsey Peck found out just exactly how hard Alexa Russo can hit the ball. So UT stays alive here in the bottom of the fourth inning.
I think in a play like that, the only player you expect to be able to do anything there would have been Thomas, but that's even too hard for Thomas to get. Peck made a good job just keeping in front of it and getting to it at all, touching her glove, because I think 9 times out of 10, that's probably just straight through to the outfield.
Yeah, you're right. Credit Kelsey Peck for limiting Alexa Russo to an infield single.
And strike one, again the inside pitch. Weininger's worst enemy this game. High and inside, keeps not going her way.
1-1 the count here with 2 outs and a runner on first.
This time goes low. Well, the Spartans have scored a lot early. They've also stranded some runners. They've had 5 total in the game. So that'll show you that Florida Southern has done a good job when the going gets tough to try to shut the Spartans down. Just missed, and it's going to be 3-1 now to Weininger.
I'll tell you what, as good as this has to feel for UT, I still think they have to be in the back of their heads thinking one more insurance run would sure feel a whole lot better, knowing that Florida Southern, all it takes is one good inning, start chipping away at this deficit.
Ball 4. And I agree, because even though you've got a really dominant start for Galehouse throughout the game, if they just get 3 runners on, all it takes is one perfect barrel, and all of a sudden 4 runs go up in smoke.
And we're going to get a pinch runner here as Mariah Galehouse gets ready to step into the batter's box. And Mariah has not had the best day offensively, as we talked about when she got out in inning number 3. And so the competitor that she is, Taylor, I got to believe that Mariah is telling herself, I've done a lot from the circle, but I'm not happy with what I've done offensively, and this would be a nice time to break through. And, of course, for UT, they're thinking, yeah, we'd love to see that because we've got a runner on second base. If you can convert her, we'd love to see this go to a 5-0 lead. Abigail Siegel, by the way, is the pinch runner at second base.
Siegel certainly has her eyes set at home plate. And now here's the first pitch to Galehouse. High, but just in the zone for strike 1. But let's see if Galehouse can convert here. 0-1. Fouled away. Again, you could just see from that swing, even though that was a bit early and kind of an inside pitch that caught her off guard, gets really good contact.
Yeah.
Imagine if that's just diverted maybe 30, 40 degrees to the left and just gets right in between Bryson and Morris.
Yeah, I got to believe, though, that Galehouse feels good about the contact that she made there, trying to break through against Ashley Blesson.
Especially after a strikeout in the first inning, you want to start making contact. You want to leave it up to a ball in play rather than a 3 true outcome. Ball 1 just high.
The plot thickens here. UT, as I said, they'll absolutely take a 5th run. 2 outs, though.
The 1-2. Foul back.
I think at this point, Ashley Blesson has got to feel so good the way that she has done with Mariah Galehouse that you just forget about the score temporarily. It's pitcher against pitcher. And she knows what a good hitter Galehouse is. And make no mistake, Blesson absolutely wants to win this duel for a 3rd time.
The 1-2 is going to be grounded shallow to first, and the tag will be made So, 3-0 on the battles against Galehouse. That is definitely a positive Blesson can take back to the dugout. And the Spartans are kept scoreless. They still control the lead. It's going to be up to the offense in the top of the fifth inning. And we'll be back right after this.
Champions know how to seize opportunities. When they see moments of greatness unfold right before their eyes, they push as hard as they possibly can. And then they push harder. Because the heart of a champion never settles, never quits, and never stops giving its all. We are champions. We are Division II. We go big, we give it everything we've got, and we win. On the field, on our campuses, in our communities, for our causes, in our careers. We rise to become champions in everything we do. We are Division II, and there are no limits here. We make our time count. We set our own path. We become champions on our terms. It's time to up your game, because we're here to play and learn. But most importantly, we're here to discover ourselves, our vision, our heart, our drive, to achieve every goal we aim.
Top of the fifth here at the Moley Family Stadium. And you might be surprised to see Russo back in the game, but that's actually a rule. You can kind of swap the runners like that. And Russo's done a good job defending at third base as the base player for the Spartans. It's a tough role. For a while, it had been carried by Corinne Miner. But now Russo has taken the mantle. Sometimes it's also been Weininger. Duo have swapped positions, of course, entering the game. And Galehouse now 1-1 against Thomas. Thomas is definitely the toughest hitter apart from Peck's power. She leads the team in RBIs and also has 33 hits and 76 at-bats. 8 walks to 8 strikeouts entering the game. Grounded out in her first time around. And her second time around is another whiff, and it's 1-2. That one's grounded and will stay foul. Very close. But the final bounce is the crucial one. But Galehouse just an incredible start today. This will be, I think, her 47th or 8th pitch. Keeping the pitch count low and just getting a lot of outs. Strike 3 and Taylor goes down looking. 1 away. Strikeout number 4 for Galehouse through 4 1/3. Destiny Colgate. I think the big thing she's shown today is effort behind the plate, making great dives and plays on balls that have gone the other way as foul balls. He even got to one on a bunt. This one's going to be popped up to Allen, 2 away. So even though that was hit into the outfield, that's a somewhat easy out. I know for baseball stats, a fly ball out is generally a better average than a ball that's in play on the ground in the infield. But the slugging is what's better for fly balls, so that's why it's better to be a ground ball pitcher from time to time. At the end of the day, if you can get outs, it doesn't matter. And Galehouse is the type of pitcher from the circle who will get outs no matter what. 0-1 to Connor, who struck out looking to end the second inning last time. Gets contact to it. A good play by Balmer, and she is out. Wow. 5 no-hit innings for Galehouse, saved by Balmer on an incredible grab. Well, under the bottom of the 5th with a 4-run Spartan lead. What a play for another 1-2-3 inning.
I pledge.
I am an NCAA student athlete.
And I pledge to be a champion of unity
on my team, on my campus, and in my community.
I pledge to embrace differences and strive for inclusion and collaboration.
I pledge to stand against racism, hate, and discrimination.
I pledge to strive for love, care, and forgiveness.
I pledge to stand against silence, deceit, and obscurity.
I pledge to strive for dialogue, truth, and understanding.
I pledge to stand against fear and doubt.
I pledge to strive for trust and belief in one another.
I pledge to stand against complacency and stagnancy.
I pledge to strive for change and growth.
I commit to supporting my fellow student athletes in all circumstances that impact them.
I commit to both choosing unity personally and encouraging it for all.
I pledge these things because we are stronger together.
United as one.
It's the 6, 7, 8 hitters up for the Spartans. I'm Taylor Sorley alongside Bruce Wozniak. Wozniak, you finally got your pretzel. I know you were waiting a few times from concession stand to get it. So concession food always is pretty nice here at Tampa. Love getting some popcorn, even the occasional hot dog from time to time.
We're seeing Avery Perkins here, the number 6 hitter, leading off for UT in the bottom of the 5th. And her team up 4-0.
Perkins checks up on the first swing, barely. That was very close, though. I was actually surprised to see Wadsworth call it a ball after the check.
Taylor, it bears repeating something that you mentioned earlier. Spartans have been opportunistic. 2 errors by Florida Southern and 4 walks by pitcher Ashley Blesson.
It's a leadoff triple for the Spartans, as this one was lined straight down the line by Perkins. Perkins, 2 singles, and now a triple to go 3 for 3. What a day for her.
A big smile for her on third base. High five with her head coach Leslie Cantor. And this is that potential 5th run that I talked about in the last inning that UT would love to get as insurance.
Extra insurance, never a bad thing. And Chevalier can bring it home. No one out. Here's the first pitch from Blesson. That's taken high, but inside for strike 1.
For all that that Avery Perkins has done, you kind of have to feel that it makes up for the frustration that Mariah Galehouse has had in the batter's box.
Strike 2, very close, but it's going to be called. And I agree. I think Galehouse will be disappointed going 0 for 3, but satisfied that Perkins has found revenge at every consecutive at-bat. 0-2 now for Chevalier. She's also had 2 singles. Almost would have been 3, but just goes foul. Runners in scoring position, Spartans only hitting .250, but crucially, the 2 hits they had were back in the first inning for the 2 hits in the entire game. The singles from Perkins and Chevalier that brought home the original 3 runs. 0-2 for Chevalier. That one's going to go to second, and a run will come home, and there's 1 away.
Yeah, it looked like just momentarily Kenley Smith considered possibly trying for the play at home and opted to go with the sure thing at first base, but as a result, her team now falls into a 5-run deficit, and time becoming an issue here as we're in the bottom of the 5th.
Here's DeSimone, taken for strike 1 inside, and again for Spartan hitters, that inside zone has been dangerous. I think that's why Galehouse had struck out on a full count back in the first inning, because she was protecting the inside, not wanting to go down looking for strike 3. 0-1.
Way outside.
That's one that Bob Hooker would say, just a bit outside. Haven't seen, I think, any wild pitches, though. Colgate's been on top of them pretty well. Ripped foul, and actually that one's going to be a souvenir over in the Spartans bullpen and fan seating area.
UT has definitely put the bat on the ball today. Granted, a lot of the contact has been of that nature where the ball has gone foul, but they have been able to have success against Ashley Blesson in more ways than just the 5-0 lead.
1-2. High for ball 2. And indeed, they've put balls in play more often. They've only had 1 strikeout in the game, and that was the previously mentioned Galehouse full count with the bases loaded. where her not-so-good day at the plate has certainly been overshadowed by a great job in the circle and good job overall by the Spartans. The 2-2. DeSimone gets it. It's going back. Bryson. She'll make the catch for the second out.
That's another example right there. Really well hit ball by Kate DeSimone. Kept it in play that time, but routine fly out at the end of the day. And that brings up the number 9 hitter, Steph Ballmer, who's 1 for 2.
Well, definitely say Namoli Family Stadium is more of a pitcher's park because it has so deep outfield. We literally got to bring in a replacement wall for the NCAA regionals. That's something you don't normally see, having to manually shorten the wall. So that's helped out the pitchers on those fly balls, but it also leads dangerous attempts. If a ball gets to the gap, you usually get a double, triple, even the rare inside the park home run. 0-1 for Ballmer. This one blooped, but Peck makes the grab. Spartans do bring a run home. It was the Perkins triple and Chevalier sacrifice ground out. That makes it a 5-0 lead as we enter the top of the 6th. Florida Southern still need to respond. We'll be back right after this. Top of the 6th. And I want to just tell the viewers that I do new media as my major at Tampa. And Gale House's game has been a lot like a for loop in terms of coding. Basically, for the for loop, you check 1, 2, 3, and you print out, out, out. You print out, out, out. And that's just how it's gone. She has been getting out after out. A really dominant performance from her from the circle.
Yeah, great rhythm for Gale House in the pitching circle. And her team increases the lead for her to 5-0 in that last half inning. So, as I mentioned, time now a factor. Top of the 6th for the Mocs. And if they're going to find their hitting shoes, they need to do so now.
And actually, the Mocs will only have 6 outs remaining, top 6, top 7th. So, you can always say better late than never, but you can't wait too late. Chevalier tried to frame it, but wouldn't get it, so the count will go to 1-2 now, after Gale House had quickly gone ahead 2-0. Swung on and missed. It's another strikeout for Gale House, number 5 on the day.
You could feel the disappointment from Kelly Keating, being fooled by that pitch and going down as another strikeout victim at the hands of Mariah Galehouse. And so now we'll see the number 8 hitter, which is Jessica Bryson.
Bryson's going to take strike 1. That one was on the outside corner, but that's been the hot strike zone corner. A little extended zone for Spartan hitters. And looks like the same for Mocs hitters. This one taken low for ball 1. That one's going to be grounded. And the second out quickly. Good play by Weininger. 2 away here in the top of the 6th.
Yeah, Cameron Weininger was making sure there was going to be absolutely no question at all about that one. And hustled it into the glove of Kate DeSimone for out number 2, and so we're at the bottom of the order. Kiki Morris, the Mocs center fielder.
2 away. This one blooped down to right, but the catch is made by Allen. 6 very clean innings. The code is churning. We'll enter the bottom of the 6th inning. The Spartans still lead 5-0.
I am an NCAA student athlete.
And I pledge to be a champion of unity
on my team, on my campus, and in my community.
I pledge to embrace differences and strive for inclusion and collaboration.
I pledge to stand against racism, hate, and discrimination.
I pledge to strive for love, care, and forgiveness.
I pledge to stand against silence, deceit, and obscurity.
I pledge to strive for dialogue, truth, and understanding.
I pledge to stand against fear and doubt.
I pledge to strive for trust and belief in one another.
I pledge to stand against complacency and stagnancy.
I pledge to strive for change and growth.
I commit to supporting my fellow student athletes in all circumstances that impact them.
I commit to both choosing unity personally and encouraging it for all.
I pledge these things because we are stronger together.
United as one.
Both teams will have the 1-2-3 hitters due up in the next half innings. Spartans here in the bottom of the 6th. They've generated a lot of offense. And they'll have Fantone, Keister, and Russo due up. It's going to be Blessin from the circle, looking to finish the day. Of course, would potentially have a task if we do have to see a bottom of the 7th, but the Spartans have had a very big lead. You mentioned, Bruce, that you wanted to see the Spartans get an insurance run. They did just that in the bottom of the 5th.
Indeed, and at this point, UT hoping that everything is just kind of a formality, so to speak.
I think they wouldn't mind a quick inning and quick top half of the 7th to get into game number 2, because again, today is a doubleheader between the Mocs and Spartans. They'll finish the 3-game series tomorrow at noon. Both teams will have 7 more innings to play. Of course, the run-ahead rule could always get into effect in that next game. Spartans have won a few times that season with that rule, and if their offense is as effective as it was in game 1, not completely off the table. 0-2.
As you mentioned, though, earlier, Taylor, you know, the beauty of a doubleheader is you can have a short memory if you're on the losing side, and it's also a case of where if you're the coach of the winning team, you want to tell your players, let's not get too high here, because all of a sudden the slate is wiped clean, and it's a brand new start. So the Spartans will feel good about this one, but they need to say, that was awesome, now let's hit the reset button.
You do it once, you have to do it again. And Smith with the quick play for out number 1. So definitely you'll see Coach Leslie Cantor say, great job, let's do it one more time. But for the Florida Southern, you'll definitely see Mo Triner saying, be like goldfish, to quote the great Ted Lasso. Season 3 is now out on Apple TV. I saw the first episode. But indeed, just be a goldfish. They have the shortest memory of an animal. And just be ready for game 2 at this stage. Taken for strike 1. Keister might not necessarily need to be like a goldfish, even though she is 0 for 2. Had just an unfortunate foul bunt, a pop out in the 4th, but did her job with a sacrifice bunt in the 2nd.
Spartans are up to 7 hits in the game.
Taken outside for ball 1.
Leading the way, Avery Perkins, who's 3 for 3, and Lexi Chevalier, 2 for 3. So the two of them have combined for 5 of UT's 7 hits.
Tampa's also drawn 4 walks and benefited off 2 errors, although one of the errors did come on a play where there was a hit. And boom, good running by Keister. I have to give credit to Smith for trying to make it a close play. That's a very slow dribbler up the middle, but picks it up, makes a quick throw. Keister just a little bit faster.
And I'll tell you what, I'm honest enough to say that I really think that one could have gone Florida Southern's way. I would have loved to have had the benefit of replay to look closer. Of course, everyone will argue the tie goes to the runner, but a really good effort there by Kenley Smith, as you mentioned. Just didn't get the call, though. And thus we have Alexa Russo. Spartans still batting here in the bottom of the 6th.
I'd wouldn't be surprised if it was a 50-50 call. I do think Keister had just maybe half a step or a little bit closer. But, yeah, I don't think anyone should be critical of Wadsworth if he called that a different way. 0-1 now to Russo. Taken outside for ball 1. That was Blesson's 100th pitch, and I'll say after the first inning, that could be tough to rebound, but apart from a couple hits and a couple manufactured runs, she's done a good job at limiting the Spartans' offense. If you carry good momentum at the end of the game, that'll set you up good for the doubleheader. Fouled away, it's 1-2. I think Russo at this stage just wants to avoid a double play. That's the worst outcome for the Spartans. Even with the lead, they don't want to waste another potential opportunity, another potential run. They've had 7 left on base throughout the game. Popped up, but this will be in foul territory safely.
Chasing it down over there was Taylor Thomas. And another souvenir as it bounces off the Spartans' dugout.
Even though we've got a net, sometimes you might be able to get away with a foul ball once or twice. 1-2 for Blesson. Looking ready from the circle. High. And while Keister's taking leads, we've yet, and I'll emphasize yet, to see any action on the base paths on stolen base attempts.
Yeah, and I think what you mentioned earlier might be the case in terms of saving it for game 2, because at this point, really don't know that it adds anything to steal a base.
Ball 3.
Up 5-0, and having a pitcher in Mariah Galehouse who's just so locked in.
So full count now for Russo. Ball 4. And while Keister was going on the full count, there's no attempt because it's just outside. 2 aboard, 1 away.
That's got to be pretty deflating for the Mocs because you're already on the wrong end of a 5-0 score. And while you don't want to mail it in, the writing's kind of on the wall, and all of a sudden seeing a walk issued and putting the other team into a situation with a runner in scoring position just becomes that much more painful.
They're bringing in, I believe, on deck a designated player for Galehouse, potentially giving her a break at the plate. I don't think there'd be a reason that she's not back in the circle in the top half of the 7th. But potentially trying something new if Weininger can keep the inning going. I mean, obviously, she would on anything except the double play. But that opportunity is open if you take a look over at second and short. Checked but held up. But not enough, 1-1.
Ashley Blesson, you got to give her credit, though. She's still competing. Obviously not happy with the way this game has gone, but really attacking these Spartans hitters.
This time holds up. And now it's I believe, 2-1 count. Yes. Two aboard. Any insurance runs would help the Spartans. 3-1.
Keeping Weininger guessing, that's for sure. In this at-bat, Ashley Blesson has really used up all she has in her arsenal here in this bottom of the 6th.
That one's ripped foul, so we'll have a full count.
Yeah, nice job by Blesson to induce that foul ball by Weininger.
See, I can't tell over by the Spartans' dugout. It looked like they brought in someone new for a potential pinch hitter on deck, but I can't tell for sure because it's just hard to read the number.
Well, and in the meantime, 3-2 here. Big moment for Cameron Weininger.
Can Weininger bring some insurance? Well, not yet, but the run now is 90 minus the smaller distance here from home. And now it's going to be a pinch hitter. Number 4, Kylie Seaweck, the utility player, will enter as a designated player. And are we going to see a call to the bullpen? We very well may. It's clear that Blesson is a little tired, 111 pitches. But actually, it looks like there's just going to be a potential conference.
It's interesting in that Kylie Seaweck has only appeared in 5 games this year. Now, mind you, she's 6 for 7, so eye-popping 857 batting average. But to bring her in here to hit and do so in a somewhat pressure-packed situation, knowing that there's only 1 out and the base is loaded. Obviously, it's not really a do-or-die situation with her team up 5-0, but nonetheless, Kylie Seaweck being inserted into the fire a little bit. See what she can do here as head coach Leslie Cantor puts her in the game. And here she goes. The first pitch coming from Ashley Blesson.
Let's see what Seawick can do. A nice pinch hitting opportunity with the bases loaded. And with only 1 away, even a sacrifice would score. On her pinch hit at bats, where she hasn't started the game but has played in 5 of them, she's hit 6 for 7 with 4 RBIs and a triple. That's a really good start. Let's see if that'll continue here. This one fouled away, so it's 0-2. Oh-2. And the fans still pretty excited. And again, they'll be excited as day turns tonight and Game 2 is underway right after this. Short break once the game concludes, but for now we've got bases loaded. And this one's fouled away. So Seawick stays alive. Here's the 0-2 to Seawick. 1-2 taken high.
Yeah, Seawick, boy, some real discipline there. You know she's wanting to swing.
I know. Especially with the bases loaded, you want to put the ball in play. It's the big moment, but you got to be careful because that's a very easy pitch to whiff at. Fouled away again. This time it's going to roll. Might have gone, nope, off the net. Falling back into the stands. Wow. A lucky roll, and the fan right in front there, a little surprised to see it fall down.
Seawick, meanwhile, wow. Dramatic bottom of the 6th.
Fouled away again. So Seawick really getting along at bat. And I know Blesson's at this stage just kind of thinking, do I have to keep going? Because she's had so many pitches. And again, we've seen pitchers rally off so many pitches over the course of one game. In softball, it's less of a strain on the arm, so you can go further. But even at 115, 16, 17, fatigue will be setting in. 2-2 outside.
Kylie Seawick maybe considering this a small victory already, just in the fact that, Taylor, as you mentioned, how long of an at-bat she has turned this into.
Two. Fouled away, and I'll say Blesson will really have to earn this out. Seawick is just not giving in. Keister at third, Russo at second, Weininger at first.
It is an interesting dynamic because you would think the momentum would be with Ashley Blesson, with the blood flowing from having pitched throughout the game. And Seawick instead looks like the one that's been playing all afternoon.
This one's going to be grounded to third. Not fielded cleanly enough. An error on Thomas. And that's quite unlucky, trying to get the transfer to get an out. And now it's a 6-0 lead for the Spartans.
Yeah,
it's going to bring up
tough.
Perkins.
That's tough. That's tough not only for Taylor Thomas, but, really Ashley Blesson and the entire Florida Southern team, because it was that close. And had she fielded it cleanly, we might be talking about an entirely different complexion.
Indeed, because, again, it is the bottom of the 6th inning, and there are rules that could bring a walk-off home, potentially. Perkins is a pretty good hitter, and with one away, she'll be a really tough out. Has a single, and a triple. Unfortunately, I'd make a joke about a cycle here, but it's very unlikely that she'd get another at-bat.
Well, Thomas had broken in enough that she easily could have made a play at the plate.
This one's grounded to short. They get the first play at the plate, and that'll be the second out of the inning. Smart play there by Peck, just go straight home.
Yeah.
And Colgate wasn't risking a throw, as Perkins was safe by probably 10 to 15 miles on that play.
Yeah, Kelsey Peck did exactly what I was saying that should have been done. It could have been done by Taylor Thomas had she not bobbled the ball.
So 6-0 Spartans. And this time the fielder's choice gets the second out at home. The error brought 1 run home. Chevalier will still inherit the bases loaded. High for ball 1. And those have been very tough pitches all night. Some of them are called for strikes at that height. Some of them have been balls. And I know Blesson will be a little disappointed that that one's ruled just a bit high. She's on 122 in the game. Here's 123. This one fouled away. It's 1-1. DeSimone on deck. But for now, it's the Spartan veteran and key player behind the battery of every great Spartan pitcher. Fouled away again, 1-2. Blesson's only got 1 strikeout, but if she could locate a good off-speed and get the swing and miss, it could get herself out of yet another jam.
That one did leave the stadium. Watched it go out.
And now they needed
the parking area.
They needed a few more balls now to get set. Wonder what lucky fan will find a ball rolling under their car. It certainly won't be mine. It's over in the parking garage. That would take an absolute moonshot to even get in. Now the 1-2 from Blesson. Looking for a blessing right here. Can't believe it's the first time I've made that punt in the entire game. Fouled away. I have to credit Blesson for still being able to persevere despite such a long outing. And even though it hasn't been the cleanest with multiple runs coming home, it hasn't been absolutely terrible either. The 1-2. Just outside. Chevalier was not going on the slider. 2-2 now.
Lexi working this at-bat almost in the way that we saw Kylie Seawick.
Every Spartan just playing is a really tough out. The 2-2. That one a missile, but foul off the net. That saves it from being a potential souvenir for any more fans that are potentially arriving late or just walking down the way. It's not as an active part of campus, but sometimes see students there.
Making me look good, though. I said that she's having an at-bat resembling that of Kylie Seawick, who proceeded to foul off several pitches, and Chevalier did exactly that.
The 2-2. This one blooped into the outfield. It's going to land. And for the second time this season, it is going to be an asterisk, but Galehouse has pitched a perfect game. Last year, on April 2nd, a walk-off in the bottom of the 7th by Lily Keister brought a perfect game home for the Tampa Spartans. Earlier this year, a combined asterisk perfect game for Gale House and Kate DeSimone happened over 5 innings. And so while it is a disappointment that we won't see Gale House back in the circle to try to complete the top of the 7th inning, the Spartans will walk off with a run-ahead rule, and through 6 innings and no allowed runners, another masterclass by Gale House.
Yeah, congratulations, too, to Lexi Chevalier for that 2 RBI single that puts the Spartans into the win column by way of, as you mentioned, the run-ahead rule. As UT, wow, their 2023 one-loss record now sits at 19-1 with that victory. And Florida Southern will fall to 14-12. But again, an opportunity for the Mocs to get right back in the win column and for the Spartans to say, that was great, congratulations, Mariah, but we need to play again, as they'll take about a 20-minute break before coming back with Game 2 of this doubleheader. But obviously one that will go down in the Spartans record books and in the memory of Mariah Galehouse for quite some time. Great, great effort from the circle.
So again, congratulations to Gale House. It will have the asterisk, but I know in her heart she'll definitely count it as a perfect game. She didn't do anything wrong, with the exception of a couple unlucky at-bats, if we should call it that. And at the end of the day, we shouldn't be stressing over at-bats. The Spartans offense delivering 8 runs in a massive commanding victory. We'll be back soon, though, because we are not done. Action resumes again at Nemoli Family Stadium. The doubleheader will be back when we are back. Thanks for tuning in for Game 1.